Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to the Abap ritual session where we are learning interview questions of different SAP technical modules like SAP Abap, OPS Abap, Abap on HANA, ALEI docs, OData, or maybe workflow also I'm going to consider in the future classes. So in last class, that means in yesterday class, we have seen some important interview questions. Let's first revise that one and then we will go ahead. Okay. So yesterday we were talking about that whether ABAP supports the multiple inheritance or not. We came to know that ABAP does not support the multiple inheritance, whereas it supports the multi-level inheritance, right? This part we have seen. Then the same thing here we have written in form of text and their answer is here. Here with the help of one example we try to understand the use of super keyword. This is also one important interview questions. What is super keyword? We understood super keyword is just to access its super class. So suppose if you're going to call a method in a subclass where you are using the super keyword, then it is going to call the super class method. So immediate implemented super class method. So suppose if it is not implemented over here, it is implemented here. So it will go all call this one. So this part we have seen yesterday. Then what are the different types of inheritance? This also we have seen. So inheritance is of three types: single, multiple, and uh, multi-level. Multi-level is supported by Abap, multiple is not supported. Multiple is supported by Java, .NET, C++, but single and multi-level is supported by Abap. This we have seen, and we have seen also what's the difference between abstract class and interface, right? And when to use which one. So here we have written what is the difference between abstract class and interface. Here the three differences we have noted it down over here, right? Then we have seen what's the difference between class constructor and instance constructor. Also we have seen what is constructor. So constructor is nothing but when you are going to create an object of any class, then the constructor is going to be called and it is used mainly to initialize the global variable. That means the attribute of the class. So that's the use of constructor, and there are two types of constructor: class constructor and the instance constructor. Class constructor is also known as the static constructor, whereas the instance constructor is also known as the object constructor. Class constructor will be called only one time, the very first time in the lifetime of a program and in the lifetime of a class. Okay, so this is for class constructor, whereas instance constructor in a program, if you are going to create multiple time a instance object, every time your instance constructor is going to be called. So instance constructor is simply denoted by this constructor, whereas the class constructor is denoted by class constructor. Another question: Can a constructor have an import and export parameter both? No, only import parameter it can have. Other question, when the constructor is going to be called before object creation or after object creation? Answer is before object creation. Here definition, here the two types of constructor it is there, right? And I'm going to shift the slides here instead of here. So just I swap the slides both and now it is at right place. Another question, what is the rule for a static constructor? And here yesterday we stopped, and let's resume from here. Okay, so rule for a static constructor, we'll understand what is the rule for a static constructor. So the rule means the property, right? Rule means the behavior. We are talking the rule. The context of rule for a static constructor is how a static constructor behave in program. Okay, how it behaves, how it is called. So we know that the static constructor is going to be called very first time when you are going to use to access any static component of a class, or you want to create the object of a class. So what I mean to say that, let us suppose we have a class over here, cl underscore abc, and we have a program over here. Okay, and in this program, in this cl underscore abc, let us suppose you have some static component. Okay, so one static component, maybe we have like, so here is c static component, this is the attribute we are having. So static static component 1, static component 2. Okay, so in this class we have two component, a static component 1 and a static component 2. So let's suppose this static component 1 is attribute of the class, some variable, okay, some data variable, some type of integer or something like that. Okay, type integer, type character, and let us suppose this component is your method. Okay, this is your method, that means this is your static method and this is your static attribute. Okay, so you have, so both is this attribute, methods, events, these all are the component of the class, right? So here we have the static attribute, right? Here we have the static attribute, here we have the static method. So two component I'm having. I'm writing one class over here, and in this class, suppose if we're going to access the static attribute of this class. So how to access the static attribute in the class? If you know that, this is cl underscore abc, right? And sc1. So equal and arrow we use to access the static component of a class. So whenever in a program you are going to access a static component, whether it is a method or it is an attribute or it is an event, whatever. Okay, whenever you are going to access the static component of a class, at that point of time your static constructor is going to be called, right? So suppose your program is written in such a way that this program ZABC is the name of the program. Okay, and let's suppose in the program this is your first statement, right? And then you have the create object statement, right? You are going to create the object of this class, right? So let us suppose object is ob1. Okay, so you are going to create the object, and of course before creating the object you are creating the reference, right? So data ob1 type ref2 zibc, right? So like that we have. So Here you are going to access the static component of this class. So whenever your program, okay, so now I will ask the question. If you understood, I will ask the question. My question is over here. Your static component here is getting accessed. So here your class constructor will be called or not, because it is there in beginning. Okay, your create object statement is here. Okay, after accessing the static component, you are having the create object syntax written. Create object statement is written. So now my question to you, that give the answer for the question, that here at this point of time your static constructor will be called or not, or here, you know means, or suppose if it is going to be called this, or suppose if it is going to call the constructor, whether that constructor will be the static constructor or instance constructor. So my very simple question over here, suppose, the first answer you have to give, at this point of time, is it going to call the constructor or not? If it is going to call the constructor, will it call a static constructor or instance constructor? Give your answer over here. So give me the first question's answer. The first question is, at this point of time, will it call the constructor? Okay, Teja is telling yes, it will call. Om Prakash is telling yes, it will be called and it will be a static constructor. Satya is also telling yes. Now my question is, which constructor it will call, a static constructor or instance constructor? Right here in the chat box first. Yeah, fine, good, very good, awesome. So it will call the static constructor, right? It will call the static constructor. Very good. Here you tell me, at this point of time, it will, this is the same program. In the same program, this is one statement, another statement is this one. For the second statement, will it call the constructor or not? Give the answer for the second statement. My first question is, will it call the constructor or not? Yes or no? Fast. Om Prakash is telling no. Sonia is telling yes. Instance, no static. Instance, fine. Awesome. So here, good. Your concept is very good. Whoever has given the answer, the one, yes, Om Prakash, you are right. Only instance constructor will be called. So because very first time your static constructor has been called, that's why second time your static constructor will not be called, because the life cycle of a static constructor is one single, only the single time it will be called during a program session. So already, because a static constructor has been called over here, so here it is not going to be called. All right, and here only the static constructor will be called, because it's a, we are accessing the static component. Instance constructor here will be called because we are creating the object, we are instantiating the class, right? So whenever we instantiate the class, instance constructor will be called. So every time, suppose here again, if you are going to write create object, second object you are going to create ob2, right? Of course you have created this reference variable in the same way, like here we have created like this ob2. So here also the instance constructor will be called. So every time instance constructor is going to be called, right? Hope it's clear. Right here in the chat box if it is clear for you. And now we are going to move ahead to the next concept. Okay, so this is actually, the second point we are having. This is the second point we are having. One more point over here, I have written that, wherever this particular statement is written in the, suppose this particular statement is written in some module or in some subroutine, and that subroutine is going to be called at that point of time, this class constructor will be called. Okay. At that point of time, this class constructor will be called. So whenever you have some module, so same thing is true for subroutine and module. That's what. So if you have written this particular statement in module or subroutine, then also your class constructor will be called whenever the subroutine is going to get load, or whenever your module is going to get load. And if you have written this statement over there, you know then then it will be called, then the class constructor will be called. That's what we have written over here. Okay, so this is also true for subroutine and module. Okay, event. Suppose this statement you have written inside the initialization event, right? So as soon as your program is going to be loaded, as soon as your program is going to be loaded, right, at that point of time itself, before accessing the statement itself, your class constructor will be hit. Very important. You will see that your control has not come over here yet. Before itself, when you run your program directly, the control will go to the class constructor method if you have written this statement inside the initialization or load of program, right? Because whenever we write the initialization or load of program, it get first loaded into the memory. So as soon as it is going to be loaded into the memory, and system program identifies that, oh, this statement is there, it will, before initializing those variable, it will go and hit the class constructor, right? So you might think that, without coming the control over here, how the class constructor has been called. Okay, but this is how the system works. You can go, and this you will find very interesting, right? The statement which I'm telling over here, you will find is interesting. What I'm telling over here, the control will not come over here, the cursor will not come over here if you have written this statement inside the initialization or load of program statement. Okay, before coming the control over here, before coming the cursor over here, directly when you run the program, first the cursor or control will go to the class constructor. After that, control will come over here. Okay, so these are the things you can just experiment. Okay, but the basic things, just you understood that whenever any static component, whether it is a method or attribute, is going to be accessed with the help of class, your class constructor is going to be called. Okay, and whenever you are going to create the object, right, then your object constructor is going to be called every time. Okay, good. So suppose this statement is not here. Let us suppose this statement is not here. So here, can you tell me what are the constructor will be called? Suppose that a statement, this statement is not here. I have deleted now. Okay, or I have commented now that statement. Now you have to tell, let us suppose I have commented. Commented means it will not take into effect, right? It is dead code. So if this is the dead code, for this particular code, which are the constructor going to be called? Awesome, Satya. Fantastic. So Satya is telling that static and instance. Yes, that is very much true, right? That is very much true. First, it will call the instance, first it will call the static constructor, and then it will call the instance constructor, right? And afterwards, for this statement, again, it will call only the instance, because the very first time static had been called. Very good, very good. Hitesh, Ganesh, awesome, fantastic, good. So we understood the concept now, and this is already we have discussed. You just go through these slides. What is the difference between constructor and class constructor, right? You can go through these slides. We have discussed, we have written also. Okay. Or there can be one more question like this: what is the difference between normal method and a special method? So under a special method you have two methods, constructor and class constructor. And under normal method, you know the normal method, what is there in the class, right? If you don't know, subscribe to my Oops Abap course, there you will understand everything. Okay, now here, what is a static method and its properties? Properties means what is its feature. So we'll see here. See, so first let us understand how you can access the static method. Okay, so in your interview, this can be one good question. So how to access the static method in the program, or what is the syntax to access the static method in the program, right? What is the syntax to access the static method in the program? So the answer over here, you will have to write. Who will give the answer? Who will give the answer how to access? You can write it fast over here if you know, otherwise I will give the answer over here. Okay, you'll have to give the class name, right? So one person has given the answer. Let me check. Good, awesome. Hitesh is telling, column selector. So we can use, equal and less than sign over there, right? So class name, then this sign, and then the method name, your static method name, a static method name. So this is how you can access the static method in your program. This is one way. This is first way, using the class name. Now another question for which already I have given you the answer in the first class, in the first ritual session of the Oops Abap. Another question is it possible to access the static method with the help of object? Who will give this answer? Is it possible to access the static method with the help of object? Let us suppose we have one, data ob1 type ref2, let's suppose cl underscore ab. See, this is a class. Okay, and create ob1, and in this class one static method is there. So is it possible to call the static method with the help of, you know yes, awesome, very good. Yes, that is possible. From the with the help of object also we can call the static method. Very good, awesome. So your answer is correct. Okay, your answer is correct. Good. Now, 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 yes. So here, let's try to understand some more important stuff. You give me the answer. Okay, you give me the answer, so you will be able to remember for longer. So here, my another question is, inside a static method, inside a static method, can you use the instance component of a class? Component of a class. Okay, inside a static method, can you use the instance component of a class, right? Who will give this answer? Yes or no? Just you have to give the answer yes or no fast. Ah, very good, very good, very good. Ompakas, Sonia, very good. Yeah, Ompakas, very good. So inside a static method, can we use the instance component of class? No, not possible. Not possible. You can't use the instance component inside a static method, right? Whole game will be messed up, right? Conceptually, it will not be supported because that is a static method, right? If something is a static method, why to be supported the instance, instance component? It will not support the instance component. It will only support the, a static component. Good. Now, now another question: is it possible to override the static method? Override means redefine. Okay, Override means redefine. Is it possible to redefine? Means is it possible to achieve the polymorphism for a static method? Okay, this is the question. Okay, let me see the answer. No, no, good, 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 good. Very good, very good. It is not possible to redefine the static method in the subclass, right? Very good answer in the subclass, right? So the answer is no, not possible. Remember this one. A static method you cannot, you know, redefine. That means you cannot achieve the polymorphism with the help of a static method, right? Now, another question, another question, another question is why we are supposed to create or use the instance method or instance component, right? Instance component or instance method, both is true in this case, okay? Instance component, instance component. So when we tell the component instance method, right? Method attributes, attributes, events, right? Everything comes into the picture, right? So why we are supposed to create or use the instance component over a static component? So you can reframe the question like this. Your interviewer can ask the question like this: why we are supposed to create or use the instance method instead of a static method? Okay, why we are supposed to use the instance method, why we are supposed to create the instance method instead of a static method? Okay, to provide every object their own functionality. Awesome. Yeah, because of polymorphism. Very good, very good, very good. So just we have seen that if you are going to use the static method, you are not able to redefine it, right? You are not able to achieve the polymorphism. So if you're not able to achieve the polymorphism, which is the most important pillar of the object oriented programming, then why to go for the static component, right? But sometimes you can go for the static component where you know that you don't have to use the, you know, you don't have to use the polymorphism, right? You don't have to redefine the method, right? So there you can go for the static, but generally we are supposed to create the instance method, right? So here answer I will write it: because we can't use the polymorphism, right? Polymorphism, which is one of the fundamental pillar, fundamentals, which is one of the strong fundamental of ops, right? So this will be your answer. Okay, so now another question is, then when to use the static method, why this concept is? So your answer is like when you realize that, like in factory method, right? In factory method we don't require to redefine the factory method, right? So you can give the example that factory method can be one very frequently used example, right? So factory method is going to be always your static method, and you must have seen always that your factory method is a static method, right? Because there we don't have to redefine or something like that, right? So that is one concern. And if you are going to have the static method directly with the name of class, you can access the static method. So accessing the method is easy, right? So whenever you don't, like every time we don't require our method to be redefined, right? So if you are in hurry, or if you are creating some demo program, right, or if you are creating some test program for just for your use, go for the static method. Why to go, you know, for the instance method? Not required. Directly you can use the static method, and from the class name and uh, using this particular symbol, right, using this symbol equal and greater than this symbol, what we can do that, you know, we can we can access the method and we can use that one. So this is the thing. Let me write it down so that it will be documented. So the question is, then he will ask, your interviewer, your smart interviewer will ask to you that, then when to use a static method, right? Then when to use a static method, why a static method is required, what is the use of a static method, he will ask like that. So your answer should be, every time we don't require polymorphism, don't require polymorphism, right? For example, in case of factory method, very popular example. Okay, so every time we don't require polymorphism, for example in case of factory method, right? And when we have to create the test program, we can go for it, right? We can go for it because we don't require that, complex things and all. uh, we can go for it accessing accessing the method is very easier here. Just we'll have to give the class name, right? Class name, and then method. Okay, good, very good. Now go to the next slides and we will see. Okay, so in the next slides I can see that what it is there. I'm going to ask, what are the two important pillar of polymorphism? What are the two different types of polymorphism? Right over here in the chat box. Day before yesterday also I asked to you. Right here once again. Right here once again. Yeah. Overriding and overloading. Okay. Overriding and overloading. Overriding and overloading. So overriding and overloading are the two important feature of you know uh, uh, polymorphism, right? There are two types of polymorphism. What is overriding and what is overloading, and which kind of polymorphism is going to be supported by Abap? Who will tell which kind of polymorphism is going to be supported by Abap? Overriding or overloading or both? Who will tell which kind of which kind of okay, overriding? Om Prakash is telling overriding, Satya is telling overriding. Okay, overriding. So overriding is supported by SAP Abap, not overloading. Okay, so there are two types of polymorphism. There are two types of polymorphism, and here I'm just writing it, polymorphism, and here one is you have overloading and another is overriding. What is overloading and what is overriding? Okay, overriding. So these are fundamentals. That's why I'm putting little more stress over here, so you can understand in a better way, right? So here, whose fundamental is strong, those only will be able to understand. Okay, in a better way. So let me do one thing. I will try to make you understand over here about the overloading, or just let me know over here in the chat box what is the meaning of overloading. Yeah, Satya is telling overloading same signature. Overloading is same signature. Okay, and overriding. Yes, yes, Satya, you are right. No same signature. Overloading is no same signature.
Overriding means same
Yeah,
signature.
overriding is going to have the same signature, and that's why ABAP is going to be supported over here. So overriding means your method can have the same definition. Okay, your method can have the same definition. So when we tell the same definition means it is going to have definition means its signature is going to be same, means same signature, same signature, same parameter, right? Same signature. Signature means nothing but parameter, import parameter, export parameter, changing parameter, right? So that all comes under the definition. Okay, so you overriding means if you have a method with the same definition, right? So suppose in your super class, if you have a method called run, okay, and it is having some import parameter, export parameter, okay, so the same run method with the same parameter in the subclass can be redefined, and that is known as overriding. Okay. Overloading is supported by Java, .NET and all. Okay. Those programming language. This is again very powerful feature which is not there in the OOPS app. Okay. Overloading means even you can change your signature. So in your parent class, you have a method with a different signature, and in your subclass, you have a method with a different signature. That is again, very this overloading behavior makes a object oriented programming so much dynamic that you can't imagine. But I don't know why this feature is not there in the OOPS app. That's why Java and all is so powerful language, and really this is a dramatic language, Java and all. If you talk about in context of object oriented, those are really awesome language because of this overloading feature, because language itself identify what kind of method it has to call based upon the parameter you are passing. Okay, so this is so powerful feature, but still in ABAP it is not there. I don't know the reason behind it, you know or why they have not given what can be the possible reason. You know, uh, I don't know. So, but this is really very powerful feature which is not available in this ABAP, but overriding is here. Overriding is here. Overriding is available. So I have marked this one is red, that means not available in ABAP, and it is in green. Overriding is in green, that means it is available in OOPS ABAP. The same thing over here we are. So see here polymorphism, and polymorphism means poly means different, morphism means form, different form means same method in the different form we can use. That's the meaning of polymorphism. There are two types, overloading and overriding. Overriding is going to be supported. That's why this tick mark is there. Sahi ka sign hai yahan pe, right? Tick mark. Okay. Here you can see the cross mark means overloading is not supported. So when I was taking the class that time, I was explaining this one, that's why it is there. So let these slides be here, no issue. And now the polymorphism and inheritance, right? Let's learn some interesting thing about the polymorphism and inheritance. Okay, the question over here is the question over here is, can a class constructor will be inherited, right? Can a class constructor will be inherited? No. That's why, because class constructor is nothing but a static constructor. That means the static method. And you know that the static method cannot be redefined, right? Here, this class constructor, you know, even you will not be able to inherit it. The class constructor is not, it is not possible to inherit the class constructor. Okay. So can a class constructor will be inherited? Answer is no. Can a constructor, a static constructor will be inherited? Can a constructor will be inherited? Yes, that is possible, but you cannot redefine the can a constructor will be inherited? Yes, and it is possible to redefine, but its scope will be there in the subclass only. Okay, so here, yes, it is possible and it can be redefined. It can be redefined. Now another question, when a constructor you are going to redefine, when you are going to construct, when you are going to redefine a constructor in a subclass, do you have to use the super keyword? That means do you have to call your super class constructor? This is very, very frequently and very, very important as question. Forget these two questions, it is not that much important, but the this question which I'm asking at this point of time, if a subclass have a, if a subclass have a constructor redefined, redefined, if a subclass have a constructor redefined, then is it necessary to call the superclass constructor, constructor, right? Is it necessary to call the superclass constructor in the redefined constructor? Redefined constructor. This is the question. You have to give this answer. I have received some three answer. Let me see what is the answer. So we have the Satya is telling that yes, we have to use super keyword, right? Awesome. Yes, yes, yes. We must have to use the super keyword. We must have to use the super keyword. Yes, must. Otherwise, it will give you, the syntax error. It will not allow you to activate. So we must have to use the super keyword. Okay, we must have to use the super keyword. Fine. Let's go to the another question. This question is very important. Remember this one. Okay. Okay, let's read it down. Class constructor can never be inherited. This is one feature. That's fine. Constructor can be inherited but can't be redefined. No, it can be redefined. This is, it can be, go and check once. I have written here can't be redefined. Constructor can be inherited but it can't be redefined. No, it can be redefined, and there we have to use the super keyword. Okay, so constructor can be inherited and can be redefined, so you can also go and check. Okay, but it is true, we can redefine, that is true. Okay, own constructor can
Hey,
be defined in the subclass. Yeah, tell me. Okay, okay, okay,
what
okay.
is a class
Just
constructor and just a constructor?
class constructor, we have seen, no, class constructor is nothing but the static constructor, right? There are
Okay.
two types of constructor, class constructor and static constructor.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
okay.
okay, yeah, just a second here, I would like to correct myself.
Yeah,
Class
class
constructor.
and instance constructor, object constructor, you can say.
Hmm. Class constructor is nothing but a static constructor,
Yeah.
and object constructor is nothing but the instance constructor. So there are two types of constructor. One is the class constructor and other is the instance constructor. Okay.
Okay. So the instance constructor cannot be inherited or can be.
Yeah, that's why here I have written actually correctly. I'm telling you the context, in which context I have written it over here. Yeah, this is correct actually. Yes, this is right. Constructor can be inherited but can't be redefined. Yeah, that is true. Here, the context in which I have written this one, this is this context. So suppose if you have this class over here, CL underscore ABC, and one more class we have over here, CL underscore ABCD. This ABCD class is inheriting, this ABCD class is inheriting the class CL underscore ABC. Okay. This class is being inherited by this class. Now in this class, suppose if you have a constructor, so constructor, right? Let's suppose, so this constructor of this class will be inherited over here. You will be able to see this constructor, you know, this constructor will be there. Okay, so just go and check, verify this one. I'm little bit getting confused over here for this constructor, right?
I think, Pankaj,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
every class have their own constructor, default constructor.
Yeah, every class is having
Yes,
their
yes,
default
yes.
constructor. Yeah, that
Because
is true.
if
Mm.
we want to call the super class like, constructor, then we have to write the super keyword. As it will
Mm-hmm.
call only his means his class constructor only.
Right,
And
right.
I think
Yes, you are right.
I
Yeah.
think there is no
But what
concept
I
of
have written over
redefine of constructor.
here, because I have written,
Because
whatever.
yes, there is no concept of redefine of a constructor.
Yeah, redefining the constructor is not possible. That is true. But yeah, redefining the constructor is not possible. Mm, and two constructor with the same name, that is also not possible. Okay, let it be, I will make you clear tomorrow. I will just,
Because
yeah.
if we want to it is little bit clear that if we want to
Mm.
call the super class constructor, then we have to use the keyword. Then it will
Mm-hmm.
automatically call the super class.
Super
Else
constructor, that is true.
uh,
No,
else it
no,
will call
actually, my doubt is, what is my doubt? I'm just telling here. So suppose in CL underscore ABC, this constructor is there, right? And
yes.
when CL underscore ABCDG, another class is there which is inheriting from CL underscore ABC, then in that case, whether this constructor will be also appearing over here in CL underscore ABCD, as well as its own constructor will also be there. This is my doubt over here. So this I will check and confirm it tomorrow.
Yes,
Yeah, tell
yes,
me.
Pankaj. Yes, Pankaj. When you will inherit the class,
Hmm.
you can redefine the constructor, but in the redefine section, it's mandatory to call super class constructor via super keyword.
Right, right. That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to, because the constructor is going to be inherited. If it is the instance constructor, it is going to be inherited. Super constructor is not like that. You will not be able to inherit. That is not possible. However, on class constructor is possible to define. So on class constructor, actually, I'm supposed to write over here. On class constructor can be defined in the subclass, and here constructor can be inherited and can be defined also. However, again, I will check this one and correct this one if something is wrong. Constructor can be inherited and can be redefined and must use the super keyword. Okay, it must have to use the super, using the super keyword, it has to call it constructor, super constructor. Okay, so 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 as of now, what is clear, the clear thing is that class constructor can never be inherited, and if it is not inherited, you cannot redefine class constructor. Every class can have its own class constructor. Okay, that is possible, and this constructor can be inherited and redefined, but you must have to use the super constructor. Okay, this is the perfect, this here there is no doubt. Okay, some while writing some mistake was there, now it is clear. So you cannot have a class 2 constructor, that is not possible. Okay, means its own constructor and then redefined constructor, that is not possible in a class, in the same class. But inherited constructor can be redefined, that is possible. Okay, fine. So now let's go to the next slides, and we are having the friend keyword and friend class. What is this friend keyword? What is the use of this friend, you know friend keyword, friend class? All right, who will tell? What, why to use this friend keyword? Why we use this friend class? Right.
It has access to all the components of the one which is friending it.
Right, yes, if you have this class, let's suppose class A is a private class, right? If this is a private class, and one more class, if you have class B over here, and suppose if you want to access the private component of class A, right, through the class B, you must have to mark class B as a friend class of class A. So that's the meaning of friend class. So hope it is clear. Okay, so we got some
Hey,
response also.
hey,
Let's go and check.
hey, Pankaj.
Yeah, to access the private
So
attributes and
does it
methods,
mean
right? Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah, 1 second.
Mhm.
With friend, the friend client can access both the private, static, and
Mhm.
public, right?
Anything.
All right.
Yes, private. That's why the friend concept is there, so that no, it can access the anything. You know,
Okay.
it it can access the anything, public, private, protected, anything. Okay. What is the difference between friend class and subclass? Who will tell? What is the difference? The major difference between what is the major or maybe important difference or basic
Friend
difference?
class can access private, but subclass cannot have private attributes or
Awesome,
private methods.
awesome, awesome. Perfect. So what is the major difference between major or important difference or basic difference or fundamental difference, right? Basic difference or fundamental difference between friend class and subclass. So see, so the friend class can access everything. Friend class can access everything, means public, protected, private, everything it can access. Okay. This subclass can access the public and protected only. Public and protected only. Okay. Friend class, a subclass can access public and protected only. The polymorphism you can achieve with the help of subclass. Here,
Pankaj, means we can share everything with our friends, not
hmm.
our children. We can in this way we can remember this one.
What do you think? Instead of friend class, it would have been wife class. I think this would have been better, right?
And I think that is something that we can.
Yeah, because uh, right, wife is having more accessibility than friend, right? So it would have been wife class instead of friend class, but this is how in object oriented they have used, right? So friend class public, protected, and private, subclass public and protected. In friend class polymorphism it's not possible, right? You cannot means it is not that much feasible to be- because generally polymorphism, the redefined functionality is there in the subclass, right? So here also you can write no polymorphism, no polymorphism, and here polymorphism. So this is what. Now let's, okay, what is local class? What is local class? Today I think we all have some more time, so I'm just stretching a little more. Today is Saturday, right? So let's do it in that way. Local class SE38, right? Local class is created inside the program. The scope of the local class is just inside that program. You can create the global class from local class. This is also possible. You can create the global class from, suppose if you have created one local class, so you can go to the SE24 and you can give the program name, and then you can convert your local class to global class. So we'll be having one option either in SE38 or in SE24. I don't remember exactly where that option, but this is possible. Just go and check. We can convert the local class into the global class. Anyone know where that option is there, whether it is in SE24 or it is in SE38? Satya is telling SE24. Yeah, so in SE24, that option is there. Okay. So you can just inherit, means in SE24 you can go, it will ask for the program name where you have written your local class, and you just have to give your local class name, and it will analyze your program throughout program, and it will tell you that, oh, this program you have this class you have created, so do you want to convert into the global class, and that tool will create you know in global class. So that option is there in AC24. Okay, here load keyword, this we will understand tomorrow. What is load keyword, what is deferred keyword? Let me tell you now itself. It is not, it will not take more time. Okay, so load keyword, generally before 4.70, what used to happen that when you are going to access the static component of a class, it was not able to recognize. So before accessing the static component of a class, we are supposed to load that class. So suppose if you want, if you have a program, suppose this is your program, Z dummy load demo, this is your program. Okay, and in this, suppose if you are going to access the static method of this class, ZCLEB22 vehicle test static. Now your requirement, is to access this static method. But what used to happen before, 4.70, that it used to tell that this method and this class is unknown. Okay, so you'll have to write this first. Before writing this statement, first you'll have to load the class in this program. And so how to load class, the class name definition load, it will be loaded into the memory, and then you access the static component, it will not give the error. However, nowadays it is not required, it has been obsolete. Okay, in ECC 6.0 and all, it is not required. This will be taken care by the upgraded patch and all. Earlier this problem used to happen. Deferred keyword, what is deferred keyword? Very, very important, very frequently asked the interview question. Okay, give more focus over here, and today be ready for the taking and giving the interview both today and tomorrow. Okay, you have to take and you have to give the interview, because today is Saturday, you don't have office, so you have to be pleased over here and take the interview and give the interview. So what is the deferred keyword? So deferred keyword, that when suppose you have written one program, right, and in that program one local class you are going to define later, right? However, you have to use that later defined class in beginning itself. So you are going to define later, but you have to use that one in beginning itself. So just to tell to the program that, oh, okay, that program is somewhere defined, don't throw the syntax error and all. Okay, so deferred means, the meaning of deferred means that class has been defined, means, but later, as of now, consider this as a program, this class is there, and later you take the definition. So deferred will tell in your program that, okay, this class is present. Okay, you create the object later, but if you are using before, yes. Okay, so deferred keyword is for that purpose. Achieving polymorphism with the help of interface constructor hierarchy, remove this one, this we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay, deferred keyword. So till 25th we have completed, and now fill up this form and take participation in interview. Everyone over here, at least on Saturday and Sunday, I want to have the maximum participation. So be here and take participation in interview. You don't have office today, right? So be here, just give me a second. I'm preparing this form and I'm going to share this form also, so that you know it will be good. I'm going to stop the recording now.